All right, everybody. Welcome in once again. Hi, my name's Carson Meredith. Nice to meet you. It is 8 o'clock. It is Sunday night, January 19th, and it's really dang cold outside. That's the big story now, that the snow has moved out. We're going to really focus in on that cold tonight in our update tonight, because this is the kind of cold that you don't want to mess with. You can get frost or frostbite, rather, in 15 or 30 minutes if you're not careful with this kind of cold. So we're going to focus on that for the most part tonight, because that's really the big weather story this week. I will talk about a small snow chance by the end of the upcoming work week. Doesn't look huge right now, but it's been on some of the model guidance for the last few days. So we'll mention it, and we'll always answer your questions and walk through the comments section too. Let's see who's watching already tonight. DJ King up in North Vernon. Probably missed out on any good accumulations today up there in Jennings County, I'm afraid. But hope you're well, my friend. Carrie says that cold wind is a-blowing. Yes, it is. It's brutal. It is absolutely brutal. Fortunately, the wind's not going to be with us all week. But obviously, the extreme cold will be. Nancy says the wind is crazy where she's at in Sellersburg. Weather Geek says, hey, it is cold. All caps, a bunch of exclamation points, the emoji, you got it. Let's see. Kevin said, yeah, this is awesome. Good point, Kevin. Great point. So cold, it literally hurts. It's painful to be outside right now. Yeah, Rose, unfortunately, we were right about this extreme cold, We didn't want to talk about this, but so be it. Angela says, hey, she got about 3/4 of an inch of snow in Taylorsville today. Thanks for the segue, Angela, because we're going to start things off tonight with a recap of that snow that moved through Wave Country earlier this morning. It was an interesting setup, the way it all worked out. So you basically had this initial band of snow that we were talking about this morning that developed right over I-65. But it didn't really propagate eastward until it got into the mountains of eastern Kentucky. Now, we expected the higher snowfall totals out of this whole thing to be in the mountains of eastern Kentucky, and that's exactly what happened. Where you see those darker blues, that's where we saw upwards of 4 to 6 inches of snow out near Pikeville and Hazard and Jackson, Kentucky, and those areas. But we did not expect to see this kind of no man's land. Let's say from Bardstown to Greensburg, all the way to I-75. Pretty interesting how that band developed right over 65 this morning, and it just kind of lost its momentum as it pushed to the east. But nonetheless, we did expect to see 1 to 2 inch snowfall totals in Wave Country, and we got it. I highlighted a couple of spots. The winners were Hardin and LaRue counties. Shout out E-Town, shout out Hodgenville. That's where we saw around 2 to even 2.5 inches of snow today. I think it was Chris that was on one of our live streams earlier today. And he said he was out plowing some of the roads during that heaviest snow. And they measured about 2.5 inches there in Hodgenville in LaRue County. So Hodgenville, congratulations. You won this go around. E-Town around 2 inches, just outside of Wave Country down towards Bowling Green, about 1.33 inches. 2 inches of snow in Glasgow, Kentucky, where you see that number 2 just south of Munfordville. 1.5 inches as far north as Shelbyville with that band of snow. Even far southeastern Jefferson County, down near Glen Mary, outside the Snyder Freeway, saw around 1 inch to 1.5 inches of snow. At the airport, not a lot. That's how sharp the cutoff was with this band of snow. Down in Glen Mary, you got a little over 1 inch. Let's say 8 to 10 miles away as the crow flies to the airport, 0.2 of an inch. That's it. That's all it'll go down as at Ollie International this go round. So for the most part, this forecast verified. Aside from that odd gap, if you will, down near Springfield and Lebanon, Campbellsville, and Columbia. But we made it through, and we truck along in this crazy January that we've had. We mentioned 0.2 was the official number at the airport today here in Louisville. That does, however, get us to now an even 15 inches of snow this season for Louisville. Obviously, we've already surpassed the average of 13 and change, but now we're at an even 15 inches of snow so far this winter here in Louisville. All right, that puts a bow on the snow. I did not mean to rhyme right there. Wow, that was pretty good. Let's talk about the extreme cold. Radar's quiet tonight. The last of the snow globe showers have faded away. A lot of those snow showers lingered into the afternoon, a little longer than expected, but they didn't cause any more accumulations. But that's all gone now. As we zoom things out across the entire lower 48, can you find where the Arctic air is, where the high pressure is? It's massive. There's the big blue H. But I mean, the influence of this Arctic air is just insane. It's wild. It covers a huge chunk of the lower 48. Something like that. Here's a better way to look at it. Look at these temperatures across the U.S. tonight. You can really tell where that Arctic blast is coming in from. It is, there's that, I'll draw it for you. You can see it cuts off pretty sharply, about to move into New York City tonight. Atlanta's about to get that shot of cold air. It's 5 degrees above zero in Chicago. It is 6 above zero in Omaha, Nebraska, Denver, Colorado. It is a nice and toasty -19 in International Falls, Minnesota. Whew. Brutal. Brutal, brutal, brutal. And this Arctic air mass is going to dominate the U.S. for at least the next 3 days. For the next 3 days, we will be dealing with this Arctic blast, I'm afraid. So settle in. It's not going anywhere once it really takes control tonight. Outside right now, we are now down to 15 degrees in Louisville with the actual air temperature. But with that initial rush of this Arctic air moving in, it is still very breezy, as some of you guys mentioned right out of the gate tonight. So we've got that wind northwest at 16 at the airport. That's giving us a wind chill of -1 in Louisville. Already at 8:08 p.m., we have those wind chill values in the metro below zero. And as we go through the rest of the night, while I do expect the wind to subside a little bit, it's still going to be enough to keep those wind chill values below zero all night and into early Monday morning. So, you know, as I've said earlier, I'm just really glad the kids don't have to get up in the morning for the holiday, or at least most of the kids. But if you have to head to work in the morning, this is the kind of cold you don't want to mess with. Here's a few other wind chills across the board. We got a wind chill of 2 below zero in Jeffersonville, Wind chill of 3 below zero in Hardinsburg. 6 below zero is that wind chill currently in Paoli and Jasper, Indiana. I expect that wind chill to get as low. In general, I think the lowest numbers tonight will be 8 below zero. Now, if you live in southern Indiana or the northern part of southern Indiana, so up towards Bedford, Seymour, North Vernon, DJ King, I'm talking to you if you're still watching. You guys could possibly see those wind chills as low as 10 below zero before all is said and done tomorrow morning. Tonight, the bite with the cold is the wind chill. The wind's going to subside a little bit as we get towards Tuesday and Wednesday. But even so, those actual air temperatures will still give you that bite and that cold as we get towards those 2 days. But right now, it's really the wind chills that are hurting as you walk outside and are dangerous as well. Let's go to the comments. Let's see. Liz on Twitter or X, whatever Elon's calling it. Evening from Greenville. The wind is picking up. Yeah, that's the issue tonight. That is the issue tonight, and it's the issue on Monday as well, throughout the day tomorrow. Let's see. When is this extreme weather supposed to be over? Well, I think by the weekend, we're going to be back to normal for late January with highs in the 40s. So another reason to be motivated to get to next weekend, even though this weekend still technically isn't even done. Try to be positive. Yeah, we'll talk about this here in a second. Angela's talking, the folks along the Gulf Coast are bracing for a winter storm. You don't really hear those two things in the same sentence much. But yeah, Angela, you are spot on. They do not have plows, and they do not have much salt to deal with this winter storm on the Gulf Coast. I know that because living in Huntsville, Alabama, they did not have the resources that we have here to handle snow either. So I can only imagine how bad that winter storm is going to be for the Gulf Coast on Tuesday. So let's go back here to home. Obviously, we've already got wind chills below zero, especially in southern Indiana. Here in Louisville, we already have a wind chill of 1 below. So that's why the cold weather advisory continues for every single county in wave country, all 34 of us. And if we zoom out the map, you can see the entire states of Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio are under cold weather advisories. There are extreme cold warnings for parts of North Alabama, Southern Alabama, the Gulf Coast. There's extreme cold alerts for New Orleans, for Houston. Let's see. Atlanta is under an extreme cold warning. You get out towards New Mexico and Colorado. I mean, this is just unreal how intense and how expansive this Arctic air, this Arctic blast is. So here's a better view across the whole country. I mean, if you've got extreme cold warnings in the Dakotas and Minnesota, you know, they can handle most cold. But if they're saying this cold's extreme, then that means we got to pay attention too, right? But nonetheless, the cold weather advisory for us, for most of us, goes until 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. That could be extended a little further into the week, however, depending on how the overnight lows shake out, especially. Yeah, DJ King spot on. My face just hurts thinking about this. Yeah. So anyway, Connie's asking about the next snow chance. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. I'll get to it towards the end of our conversation tonight. The main story right now, though, is the cold. Our forecast actual temperature in Louisville tonight is 6 above zero. This would obviously be the coldest night of the season, no question. I think all of us will likely see those actual temperatures remain above zero. Not by much, but that will be above zero. It's the wind chills that will go below zero, that are already going below zero. And those wind chills will range from 3 below to 10 below. That 10 below being an issue up towards Bedford and Seymour and North Vernon. So that's the story for tonight. Now, as we go through the day tomorrow, it's going to be a gorgeous day. Yeah, I mean, it really is. Bright blue sky, a lot of sunshine. You just won't want to enjoy it because it's going to stay cold. Our forecast high is 18 degrees. That's it. As we get towards Monday afternoon. And as that breeze will still be there. It's not going to be as intense as it is tonight, but we'll still have that wind out of the west around 10 miles an hour all day tomorrow. Factor that in, you notice the wind chills will be in the single digits. Well, for one, we may not get to wind chills above zero until lunchtime tomorrow. And then once we do get into positive territory, we only see those wind chills peak around 7 or 8 degrees above zero tomorrow afternoon. So tomorrow is just going to be a very bitter day to be outside. If you have to absolutely be outside, I know a lot of you work outside. God bless you all that do. Please take care of yourself. Layers, 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 hats, gloves, scarves, face mask, everything. Try to cover up as much of your body as you possibly can, especially if you're going to be outside working for extended periods of time throughout the day tomorrow. Because this is the kind of cold you just don't want to mess with, right? Let's see. A couple of you guys are asking about this. What makes the middle of the, I guess you mean the cold weather alerts, Rose, not being impacted? Well, keep in mind, every National Weather Service office across the entire country, they have different numbers when it comes to issuing cold weather advisories. Our numbers are kind of different compared to Denver or Salt Lake City because they're a little more susceptible to intense cold compared to us. So what might be extreme to us may not be quite as extreme to them. So that's kind of why you see that those gaps on the cold weather alerts across the country. Hope that helps answer that question. Okay, so it stays cold tonight, obviously, and extremely cold. It's extremely cold tomorrow. Let's look at Tuesday morning. You notice the actual temperatures, which are the white numbers sitting there by themselves on this map. Those are the actual temperatures Tuesday morning. Those will be, for the most part, in the low teens, 10, 11, 12 degrees. That's still really, really, really cold, obviously. But what's going to help us a little bit tomorrow night and early Tuesday will be an increase in cloud cover. Clouds at night act as a blanket to keep us a little warmer. And I emphasize a little warmer. So that's why we're talking about low temperatures tomorrow night, about 6 or 7 degrees warmer across the board compared to tonight. You notice the wind chills, however, will still be hovering near or just above zero. So Tuesday morning will be another dangerously cold morning where you got to be in layers and where you got to limit your time outside. Another thing to also keep in mind, I don't want to forget this. Pets, bring them inside. Please, just bring those furry friends inside. If they make a mess, so be it, as long as they're in a warm house. So bring the pets inside the next few nights, next few days, really. And remember to leave those faucets dripping tonight. If you haven't done it yet, go do it now while you're thinking about it. Just need a little, like the width of a pen or pencil. Just leave that dripping throughout the night. Open the cabinet doors. That way the heat can get underneath your sinks and keep the pipes warm and lower that risk of those pipes freezing up on you. So do that. Do that tonight. Do that tomorrow night, really until Wednesday morning. All those cold precautions. So we stay dangerously cold again Tuesday morning. What does that mean for schools? I don't know. We don't make those calls. We do not make those calls. We just provide you with the weather information so that you can plan your day and so that school districts can make the calls that they see fit. So we'll see what happens with that as we get towards Tuesday when everybody's heading back to class. Wednesday morning will be very similar to what we have tonight with those overnight lows across the board in the low single digits, maybe even a couple degrees colder Wednesday morning compared to tomorrow morning. Our forecast low tomorrow morning here in Louisville is 6. Wednesday morning, it's 4. So Wednesday morning could be even colder than what we're dealing with tonight. And I also think Wednesday morning is the morning we have the best shot to see those actual temperatures get below 0. I think all of us will stay in positive territory tonight. Wednesday morning, however, we're not going to have much of a wind factor, or at least not as much of a wind factor. So that means the air might settle a little bit more. It won't be as stirred up. And when the air is a little more settled, it allows those temperatures to go even colder than they already are. So we could see some temperatures near 0 or below 0, actual temperatures Wednesday morning. So obviously that too could be another dangerously cold morning as well. So the next 3 mornings will be the kind of cold that hurts. The next 3 days, really, forget mornings and days, the next 3 days, period, is the cold that hurts. There's your 10-day. 18s are high tomorrow. 18s are high on Tuesday. We do begin the temperature recovery on Wednesday. Still below freezing Wednesday afternoon in the upper 20s, but the upper 20s is better than the upper teens, right? We are back above freezing on Thursday. I can say that with a good bit of confidence. However, as we get towards Thursday night and into Friday, we might have a snow chance to watch. So this is going to be Thursday night, mostly on Friday, really. Another little clipper scooting in from the west and northwest. Let me redraw that circle. That was bad. Right here. And it just wants to go nearby. Scoot on by as we go through the day on Friday. This is the GFS. It's been fairly consistent for about 3 days now with this clipper potential by the end of the work week. I will tell you the European model is not as sold on this. So still some time to figure out if this clipper is actually going to be a thing, let alone what kind of accumulations or impacts it might bring. My gut feeling at this point would be that this clipper might put down a light accumulation if it happens, but it would not be too terribly impactful as we get towards Friday. I'll show you the snow cover potential. This is not an official hard set number. This product just kind of tells us where we might see some accumulations. And you notice for now, it wants to focus on Kentucky to maybe see a little accumulation with that possible clipper on Friday. Other than that, there's no huge snow chances to talk about. That's really the biggest thing that I see at this stage of the game. Might be a rain-snow mix next Sunday, but that would be one of those deals where as the precipitation moves in Sunday morning, it might start off as snowflakes or a wintry mix, and then as we warm up, it goes to rain. So that shouldn't be a major problem, but it's something we'll watch. But the main focus right now is that extreme cold that we are starting to deal with tonight and we'll be dealing with for the next 3 days, all the way through Wednesday. We will not be above freezing again until Thursday afternoon. Oh, not a fan. Not a fan, not a fan, not a fan. But you see the rest of the 10-day towards the end, next weekend, we get back into the 40s, and it looks as though at this point we stay in the 40s. I think we will all be looking forward to that by that point. All right. Any last minute comments, questions, thoughts, concerns before we wrap things up tonight? We got some funny people in the comments tonight, don't we? All right. We'll just take care of that right there. So yeah, that's where things stand, guys. Just take care of yourselves the next few days. Hats, gloves, all that good jazz. Take care of your pets, bring them inside, things like that. So just be careful over the next few days. Sorry, I've got this one clown likes to blow up the comments, it looks like. So I'm just cleaning that up. Hang on. Okay, we're good now. All right, what questions do y'all have for me? Anything? Let's see. Sean says, will the salt help the ice with as cold as it's going to be? Yeah, that's the problem. If you do have some side streets that are still slick from the snow today, I really don't think that salt's going to help, because once you get into the teens, you really don't see that salt work. So what's on the ground now is not going anywhere for a while, I'm afraid. Not until Thursday, unfortunately. So once you get below 20, it's impossible to really treat the roadways. So just be careful, Sean, as you're heading out tomorrow morning or whenever you might be heading out again. The roads are drivable. You just got to be really, really careful, especially if you saw a couple inches of snow earlier today, right? Let's see. Does the cold air suppress the winter storm to the deep south? Yes, it does. Let me find. We made a graphic with this setup. And of course, I forgot to put it in here tonight. But basically, this Arctic air is so strong that it's pushing all this dry air into our area and pushing it all even further south. And it's just kind of squeezing that system to stay on the Gulf Coast, which is, that is so rare, guys. It's crazy. Where is that map? Here it is. It'll load up here. So, yeah, it's just remarkable because, as we mentioned, the Arctic air is way up here. Here's the high pressure, if you will. And it's just pushing down that dry air. So like it chokes off the moisture that these systems need, to cause storms, right? So the low has to basically go where the high pressure lets it go. And right now, the only place that low can go is the Gulf Coast. And as cold as it's going to be that far south, that's where you've got this winter storm potential starting tomorrow, really, and going all the way through Wednesday. Just crazy, crazy stuff way down south over the next few days. So let's see. Austin, Texas, Houston, all of Louisiana, really. New Orleans. New Orleans could get an accumulating snow out of this. Wild. Mobile, Gulf Shores. Destin could get a little snow. Montgomery, Alabama. Macon, Georgia. Myrtle Beach, Charleston could get some snow out of this. Just a crazy, crazy setup that we have in store here for the Deep South over the next couple of days. Wild, wild, wild. Let's see. Kevin says, thanks for the long day. Hey, you know what? It's a labor of love. I enjoy what I do, even if I do it on no sleep. But I appreciate you all looking out for me. Appreciate you guys watching so much. Anita says, any more cold snaps like this that we're about to deal with? I don't think there will be anything as intense for a while once we get past these next few days. So that's wonderful news, if you ask me. But as we mentioned, it looks like it's going to get more seasonable as we head towards next weekend and into the last week of January. Fingers crossed that trend holds. I don't even care if it's raining as we get towards next weekend and the following week. As long as we're above freezing for a few days in a row, I will take it. But no, Anita, I don't really see anything like this intensely cold once we get past these next few days. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. Carrie says the graphic shows the low spinning counterclockwise. Whoa. Yeah. No, that's not how it works in the Northern Hemisphere. You're right. We'll get that cleaned up. Good catch. Thank you. Danny asked, if this cold wasn't as cold, like as it is, and as widespread, could the Gulf system have been our problem? Certainly. Certainly it could have. Would it have been a guarantee to be our problem? Not necessarily. There's a lot of other factors in play. But I think if this Arctic blast was not as intense as it is, I think that system could have certainly been an issue for us. In fact, last weekend when we were chatting, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, this thing's going to move north and we're going to have more trouble. But the Arctic air had different ideas. That is for sure. Good question, Danny. Tanya sums it up well. This weather is crazy everywhere. And come on, summer. Yep. I'm not even a huge summer fan. It's actually my least favorite season. But I would not be mad if it was 80s right now. But I can give you a spring countdown. Maybe. You might have seen it on our social platforms earlier. 60 days away, my friends. 2 months from tomorrow is the spring equinox. So we're getting there. 2 months away. Thursday, March 20th. I think that's Wednesday. No, it is Thursday, March 20th. Yeah. Never mind. So we're almost there. Just got to keep telling ourselves that, right? Let's see. Kathy says 30s and 40s will feel like a heat wave. Yes, especially after the next few days, no doubt. Carrie's asking, do the highs and lows spin in opposite directions? Yes, they do. Low pressure systems spin counterclockwise, which is actually correct. Yes. Low pressure spin counterclockwise, high pressure spin clockwise in our part of the world. Good question. Sorry, I misunderstood you there earlier, Carrie. Michelle says it's cold. Yes, it is. Rose says just sunny and 70, no storms. Doesn't that sound wonderful right now? That sounds really, really good. All right. I'm going to wrap it up. We don't have football on Wave tonight. Sunday Night Football's done for the year. I know Lamar's playing right now on another channel. But we will be on time, finally, with our 11 o'clock newscast tonight. So if you're still going to be up, you want an update on just how cold it is at 11 o'clock tonight, we invite you to join us on Wave News on the old-fashioned TV side of things. If not, we appreciate you guys being with us all weekend through this latest round of wintry weather. Thankfully, it wasn't a huge deal for a lot of us. Rose asking about schedule changes for tomorrow. Oh, yeah, with the inauguration. There is no 11 a.m. newscast and no 3 p.m. newscast on Wave tomorrow because of the festivities in Washington. However, Mr. Brian Good will be on Sunrise this week. Tawana's taking some well-deserved time off, so you can catch Brian, if you're up bright and early, every single morning this week on Sunrise on Wave. And he'll still be here to do the Snow Talk as well, so don't worry about that. All right, that's it for now, guys. Appreciate you watching. Have a great rest of your Sunday evening. Stay warm. Take care of your family. Take care of your friends. Take care of your pets as well. Over the next few days, we ride out this bitter, cold Arctic air. I'll see you guys again tonight on TV at 11. Have a good one.